Hi everybody, this is Jesse with Integral Nation. So, recently California has tried to cancel Walgreens. This is a clear example of how the left seeks to cancel or destroy the reputation of anybody who goes against their narrative. In some red states, Walgreens decided to stop selling abortion pills. This led to a fierce reaction from the left just for a company agreeing to follow the law. California Governor Gavin Newsom decided not to go ahead and renew a $54 million contract with Walgreens. This is the reaction of sore losers. The left cannot accept that the majority of Americans do not believe that you should be able to terminate your baby at will just because you feel like you're not ready to have a child. Some people just need to grow up. Many Americans believe that this practice is highly immoral. To me, it's akin to the practice of many ancient civilizations where if they deemed a child weak or unwanted, they would just leave that child in the woods to face the elements alone. Now more than 500,000 babies a year have their life cut short. Their voices cannot be heard, and it's up to people like me and you to make that voice as loud as possible. Today we're going to be providing commentary on Democratic Senator Tina Smith, which she did an interview a while back. She's out of Minnesota. She's very pro-choice and prioritizes this in her platform. I will be stopping the video every now and then to give my thoughts, so bear with me on that. Now, let's see what she has to say.
Well, we have here Walgreens buckling under the political pressure of these attorneys general, conservative attorneys general, representing conservative states, but states where abortion is still legal. And they are saying to Walgreens and other pharmacies around the country, no, you cannot follow the guidelines of the FDA, which says that it is safe and effective to receive medication abortion without making a separate trip to the doctor's office. So they're using political pressure in order to deny health care to people who need it, and that's ridiculous. And it's out.
Okay, so she's claiming that this is just average, regular health care. With 500,000 babies terminated every year just in America alone, that's a practice that should not be happening. I think it's definitely not healthcare, and if people could just get abortion medication over the counter, what's to stop people from terminating late-term babies and babies that are just ready to come out the womb, ready to see the light of day? This is horrible. It's absurd.
Outrageous. And of course, as you're pointing out, Alicia, this is coming as we await the decision of this extreme Trump-appointed judge in Texas that is on the verge, we fear, of denying access to medication abortion, which would basically make roughly half of the legal abortions in this country unavailable to women.
Let's stay with what's happening in Texas, because as I keep reminding our audience,
if half the available abortions could be stopped within the country, that would be a great victory. It would be a great victory for the American people and the children who are meant to come out and see the world.
yes, it is a judge in Texas who is going to issue this ruling, but it is not only going to impact people in Texas. That would be devastating on its own. Talk to me. I mean, how are you explaining this to folks in Minnesota about what it is going to mean for them if this ruling comes down and he bans this drug?
Well, this federal judge, who, as you said, is a known anti-abortion proponent, he was an anti-abortion activist before he was appointed to the federal court in Texas. What he is doing is hearing a case that would say that medication abortion should be banned in the entire United States, not just in Texas, but in the entire United States. And as you said at the beginning, over half of abortions in this country, those now happening in states where abortion is still legal, over half of those abortions are conducted through medication abortion, which has been safe and effective for over 20 years. So this would have devastating impacts on what is already a crisis for women who are seeking access to legal abortion care.
You recently wrote a letter to AG Garland urging the Justice Department.
To this woman, to the Senator, Tina Smith, she believes that it is a crisis to have children. That is totally not true. Having a child is both the best moment of your life and it is a life-changing event. Just because you're not ready to have a child does not put your life in crisis. It's a natural thing. It's what we all should be doing.
and to appeal the Texas abortion case if it undermines medication access. I wonder if you have heard back and if you're hopeful that the AG will act on your request.
Well, I want to say that I am really very pleased with how strongly the Biden administration has used all of the tools at its disposal to protect and defend women's right to reproductive health care. My goal with this letter was to make sure that the Attorney General knew how important I think it is, and millions of women think it is, that he is ready to take action immediately if this court case by Judge Kazmarek comes out as we fear. Because when that happens, there is a risk that medication abortion would be immediately enjoined any place in the country. And we can all imagine the chaos that this will create in the lives of women, because this is not an abstract political issue for women that are seeking reproductive health care. It means that you are in the car to go and get the medication that you need, and you're now not sure whether you can. In fact, you probably can't. And that is devastating for people. So I hope that the Attorney General will act speedily and with alacrity to really go after this. And I think this judge in Texas is so extreme, and you can see the impact of these judicial appointments on women, not only in Texas, but all over the country.
Here's the thing I don't need to explain to you, but Kazmarek is not an accident, right? I mean, when he was appointed in 2019, advocates, they warned of his willingness to bring his ideology, which you've outlined for us, to the bench. And the anti-choice movement, they have been actively working to seat judges like him and then to bring cases before these judges such that they are able to actually, in essence, legislate from the bench. I wonder then how you counter those efforts.
Well, I mean, this is exactly right. This is part of a coordinated strategy by extremists in the Republican Party to take away people's reproductive rights. And it is
Now the left are calling us extremists just because we don't feel like you should be able to terminate your child. This seems to me very malicious. I don't know how this woman is in power. This stuff needs to be stopped. It's horrible. As a father, I don't see how you could just stop your family from going forward. She says that it's a massive disruption to the lives of women, which having a child is a big decision. But instead of complaining about not having access to be able to kill a baby and abort them from your womb, why don't you try using protection or just waiting till you get married and you're ready to have a child to have intercourse? That's a moral way to do this, not to just take pills and terminate a child. Horrible. Sad.
Is not an accident. It is being followed through on the courts, and it is being followed through also in legislatures all over this country. And it's, of course, ironic to me and painful to see that you have some of my Republican colleagues in the Senate who say, oh, abortion rights should be decided at the state level. They say that on the one hand, while on the other hand, they are showing the lie of that statement by working actively to advance abortion bans, both federally and through the courts and at the state level. So this is, it's devastating for women. It's one of the reasons why we need to continue to push to put into law the protections of Roe versus Wade. But we understand that as long as Republicans can bar us from doing that in the Senate with the filibuster, we're going to have to keep fighting this out at the ballot box and in state legislatures across the country.
I just want to say that people like this who are trying to destroy traditional moral values, they're never going to stop. We have to make sure that we have our voices heard. We cannot allow this to happen. We can't allow it to continue. If you don't get out and vote and make sure our Republican or conservative candidates are actually upholding our values, then this is just going to continue. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse as our society evolves, which if we step in the way and make sure that that does not happen, then we could make a big difference. That's the goal here at Integral Nation, to make sure that our traditional values are heard and make sure our politicians continue to push those and uphold them. So I see this as strange. The left is claiming that we are radicals. How are old school, traditional moral values radical? If anything, the other way around. The left is radical. They are trying to push for change, new things, new ideas. And some of them are very controversial, such as this. She's crying about that Roe versus Wade has been taken out and that they should continue to fight to implement the protections. And they're doing so under the guise of women's rights. I do not believe that a woman should be able to have the right to kill a baby just because they feel like they're not ready, even though it's going to cause a disruption in their life, just because they feel like they're not capable of taking care of a child. People need to grow up. The goal of everybody's life is basically to reproduce and create a family and make sure that your children are successful. Other than that, I think that's just rampant individualism if you're just only in it for yourself. Some people cannot have children. That's very understandable. But for you to kill a baby just because you're not ready, that goes against the nature of humanity, and it goes against the nature of anything. So, to end this off, I just want to say that just because Roe versus Wade got overturned and some states are allowed to vote on their own abortion laws, the fight is far from over. Whether you live in a red state or blue state, we have to continue this fight. We have to keep educating the American people and push our values to our representatives. This is Jesse with Integral Nation. If you want to support us, please visit our website at integralnation.us. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.